And I like that term, knowledge differential. It's very true. We've done previous shows on the school system, but that's just the tip of the iceberg when trying to get into just how deeply the manipulation has gone. And there's such arrogance and ignorance today, which makes it even harder to overcome. But it's a real sad state to be in when a decade after 9/11, George Bush is showing off his paintings on The Tonight Show. You're right, it's pretty pathological. We have some serious multi-generational brain damage as a collective culture. And so you told us about what they do, but let's get into those specifics of how they do it or how they got started. Because of course, when we're in it today, it's easy to see the ironclad grip, but it's a bit harder to see how they acquired this grip on a previously enlightened world. Clearly it was a huge undertaking and it's pretty much near the end game, but talk to us about how they did it so that maybe we can keep from falling into those traps and see them for what they really are.
Well, there's 3 institutions that they absolutely had to infiltrate and completely gain the reins of and control from the inside in order to propagate not only false knowledge to the world and get them to believe in things that are not true, but to dissuade people from looking into the necessary information that they must look into to level the playing field. Mm-hmm. And those 3 major institutions were religion, education, and media. Okay, now, of course they have infiltrated government, but government doesn't try to reach people's eyes and ears. It just makes arbitrary commands that the ruling class says you must obey or we will conduct violence upon you, called laws. That's the strong arm aspect of the whole control system, obviously. Mm-hmm. They get people to simply comply because they are in fear of the physical punishment that will be conducted upon them if they don't comply. And that's called duress and violence, which is always immoral and always wrong. And people do not have the right, so-called, to delegate behavior to someone else that isn't a right for them to conduct upon anybody else. This is the question I destroy anybody's justification for government immediately with pure logic and philosophy, where if anyone can simply reason from first principles, if you don't have a right, if something is wrong for you to do, therefore it's wrong for everyone to do because everyone has the exact same rights, because a right is simply an action that does not cause harm to another. You don't have a right to do something to someone else, and therefore no one has that right. No one can tell another person or group, you're allowed to do that thing that causes harm, and we'll magically convert it into a right because we want to, because that's our preference or our whim. We can magically convert a wrongdoing into a right. It can't be done in nature. You can only claim that you can do it. And therefore, I ask people who believe in this concept of government, could you please explain to me how anyone can possess a right through the delegation of something that someone else does not possess themselves? How can a group of people that does not, no individual within that group has the right to do this behavior themselves, delegate someone else or some other group the right to do that? It cannot be done in nature. It is a complete logical fallacy to believe that it can be done in nature. And anybody who thinks that that can be done is lying to themselves. And that's the very first principle of coming out of mind control. The very first principle of coming out of Stockholm Syndrome and coming out of mind control is you have to stop lying to yourself. Because this is what the dark occult ruling class has gotten people to continuously do. This is known as cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance means you continue to tell yourself lies that deep down in your own psyche, in your own subconscious, you know it's total BS and you know it's not true. But you're lying to yourself to stay within your comfort level. You want to tell yourself, oh, this is done for our own benefit or our own protection or because they actually care about society as a whole. No, it's not. You're lying to yourself, and it's done to control and to enslave. The end. So that's the strong arm aspect called government. But to go back to your original question regarding how do they actually get people to buy into all these lies, you have to control the information that is being told to human beings from the day that they are born. Therefore, you have to control, again, the big 3, religious institutions, educational institutions, and media institutions. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. These are the ways that information reaches people's eyes and ears from the day that they are born.
Mm-hmm.
Through the cultural religions people are born into in their families, through educational institutions that people are violently forced to be put into. What is it? Something like 50,000 hours of compulsory schooling in every major country in the world from the time a child is 5 years old. And we're fed this worldview of obedience, this worldview that obedience is a virtue. We're fed the worldview that whatever government says is real, whatever the media says is real. And that goes to the third institution that has to be controlled, and that's the media. Telling everybody after they've gone through a hard day's work and they're largely in a left brain modality from working usually with numbers or with computer systems, doing physical tasks all day long, physical labor, and then they want to relax, they want to eat something, they want to decompress, and then you're going to hit them with information that's going to go right in through the right brain modality and be practically accepted without any logical filtration in place. And that's what the mainstream media is tasked to do. That's their job as a mind control institution. So you have the mind control institutions of religion. You have the mind control institutions of traditional public education systems in every major country. And then you have the mainstream media systems in every country, just paid liars, paid to lie to people all day long and dissuade them from looking into areas of real knowledge and ask real questions about the universe and ask real questions about themselves. No, we don't want anybody to do any type of introspection like that or deep knowledge seeking and truth seeking like that. That's the last thing the controlling ruling class wants from human beings. They want you to blindly accept. And when people blindly accept what's taught to them in religion and taught to them in schools and taught to them on the mainstream media, then they're going to be absolutely ripe to go into the dynamic of just doing what they're told. That's what all of these institutions are there for. Don't question, don't seek and try to figure out things based on logic and reason. Just accept what you're told. Don't look at things from a truth discovery methodology. Hear what we're telling you is real and then accept it as that is real. And that's where most of the majority of human beings are at. That's why people cannot do the work to prove that what the media told us regarding 9/11 is a lie. They can't do it. They can only jump from one belief to another. It's like they can either believe what the mainstream media told them regarding the event, or they can believe what some other researcher or group of people told them regarding the event, but they can't gain actual knowledge of what is possible and what is not possible through physics, because that's how ignorant they are of physical laws. They don't even know how physical laws work and operate in the world because they haven't looked at that from an actual process of truth discovery methodology and scientific method.